Hey, my name is Ava Ross, and I'm here today with the City Clerk of Hamilton County, Ohio, Daniel Tidyman. Mr. Tidyman, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, I am.
So, my first question is, what does it entail to be an official as the City Clerk of Hamilton County?
Well, I'm the unofficial historian of Hamilton. I manage City Council's agendas and records. So that entails all of the legislation and decisions that City Council has to make, like formal decisions.
Okay.
So that means whether we are acquiring a piece of property or if we're entering agreements or we're passing new laws, they have to make these decisions in writing. So I manage their agendas and their records as well as all the other records for the city because our residents and our citizens, we technically work for them.
Yeah.
And they also have the right to inspect the city's business to make sure that we are serving them properly, which means we have to be transparent with our records. On top of all of that, I also have special projects that I apply for grant funding as well. But that's that I'm pretty busy with council these days, but I still have special projects.
How much of your day would you say goes into those special projects? Not much anymore? Was it a lot to start out?
Well, it depends on council's agenda.
Mhm.
So I'm a little busy these days, but I'm actually working on a special project right now with River's Edge here in downtown Hamilton. So we just applied for grant funding with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to get funding for a kayak launch in the Great Miami River. So we'll be hearing about that sometime later this fall, and then we're potentially going to try to work with the Butler County Metro Parks as well for the grant application. It's with the Ohio Public Works Commission. If we can probably sell them some land for for additional funding for us, which would allow us to use that money for other projects.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Can you describe one of your average work days?
I'll do my best. So it kind of depends on the week. So usually every week I'm doing something for City Council. I'm either preparing the agenda one week or I'm preparing for the meeting the following week. In this case, I'm preparing for the meeting this week. So I may have to be printing out agendas, printing out legislation on special paper. I also deal with a lot of calls from residents who don't know which city department to speak to.
Yeah.
So I kind of get called first to either assist them with their call or redirect them to the appropriate department. I say every now and then though, once I do find some free time, I do get into my special projects. That's actually one of the reasons why I was hired, was to kind of delve into them. So whenever I get a chance, I try to work on them as best I can.
So how often do you guys have a sort of city council meeting? Is it once a month?
So we meet on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month except for July, November, and December. We meet once in July to allow for a recess in the end of the month. And we meet on still twice in November and December, but just on different Wednesdays to accommodate for the holidays.
Okay. When you're working to create a change in our community, who else do you work with?
Oh, well, it depends on the kind of change that we're working on. So we are active with other community organizations in the area. So one thing that comes to mind is our tobacco retail licensing.
Yeah.
So this was an initiative from Envision Partnerships, a local organization. So we kind of partnered with them in creating this program.
Okay.
There are also, every now and then, there are other cities or jurisdictions that will reach out to us about certain codes or laws that we've adopted, and they're asking us for our input on how effective they are or what could be changed, and vice versa. We also reach out to other cities for their input on how their laws are working at that time as well.
So you mentioned, your programs that you're working on with other people. Can you give an example of one of those, please?
Let's see, programs I'm working on with other people. So right now, the Butler County Metro Parks, I would say that could potentially be a program in itself where we own a couple different parcels around the city that we're not quite interested in owning at this time. But if we divest them to the metro parks, they may have a better use for them.
Okay.
So, and with that, we would still be able to, give this property to like a proper owner, like the metro parks, and then they could actually do what they would like to create some sort of passive recreation on that property as well.
Cool. When you were in school, were you aware of this career at all?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
So how did you sort of like become aware of this career? Was it through volunteer work, internships, or just?
Sure. So when I was in college at Miami University in Oxford, I was studying urban and regional planning and sustainability. Those were my majors. I originally worked for the city of Hamilton as a associate planner for a couple years, and the person who originally had this position before me left the city. So I was trained to kind of be a like acting clerk until somebody was hired, but then I also applied for the position as well. So I kind of found my way into this.
You just kind of stumbled into it.
Mm-hmm.
So what did? Oh, you just said fine. I'll cut that out. So is your role nonpartisan? It is, right?
Nonpartisan?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, my role doesn't really. I would say the political parties aren't really affected by my role.
I'm thinking. Hold on. All right. So, what is one thing that you've accomplished in your career that you're most proud of?
One thing that I've accomplished that I'm most proud of, I would say over my career within the city of Hamilton, I moved here in 2017, which is just as like the upswing of development and this revitalization that we're experiencing was happening in Hamilton. I've been able to live, work, and play within the city this entire time. So as a accomplishment, I would say in some ways I've been involved with a lot of these big projects that have been happening around the city, whether it's being involved with Spooky Nook, with new businesses that are coming to Hamilton Enterprise Park, our community entertainment districts, which provide full service liquor licenses for restaurants downtown. This would help incentivize new restaurants to come to downtown Hamilton, as well as our designated outdoor refreshment area, or DORA as we call. We were one of the first 5 within the state of Ohio to adopt one, and then it's a nice compliment when Oxford reaches out to us to ask us about our program. So being involved with this as all this great stuff is happening, I would call that my greatest achievement so far.
That's cool. And that's it. Do you have anything else you want to add? I'll edit this part out. But do you have anything you want to say? Because I know it's really short.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for reaching out to me for the interview, and
Thank you.
as an Eagle Scout, I want to give back to either Girl Scouts or Scouts of America as well. So thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much.